These days, the 22 short often gets dismissed as little more than a quiet backyard plinker or a novelty round fit for display cases. Many shooters see it as an outdated piece of history, something long overshadowed by faster, more powerful cartridges. But there's more to this tiny rimfire than meets the eye. Curious what makes the 22 short worth a second look? We're diving into the fascinating story behind one of the oldest cartridges still in production, tracing its unexpected contributions to firearm history and revealing why it's not quite as obsolete as people think. For those who love exploring the heritage of guns and ammo, the 22 short offers a surprising amount of depth. It may not be on anyone's radar for modern self-defense, but in its prime, it was a serious contender. Understanding where this little round came from and how it was used sheds light on the broader story of how ammunition evolved to meet changing needs. In this video, we'll unpack the round's 19th century roots, debunk a few myths, and explore why this seemingly humble cartridge still sparks conversation among seasoned shooters. Stick around, you might end up seeing the 22 short in a completely new light. The origin of the 22 short dates all the way back to 1856, when Smith & Wesson paired it with their groundbreaking Model 1 revolver. At the time, compact revolvers were gaining popularity, and this new cartridge offered a discreet, easy-to-carry solution for personal protection. Though it may seem small by today's standards, the 22 short was a huge step forward in reliability, especially compared to the percussion cap pistols still in use. Back then, no one questioned its potential lethality at close range. With just enough stopping power to fend off an assailant at arm's length, it gave everyday folks a sense of security. The real game changer was convenience. Loading a metallic cartridge into a compact revolver felt like a leap into the future when compared to fumbling with powder, balls, and percussion caps. Early marketing even touted it as offering all the power you really need, a claim that might raise some eyebrows today, but made perfect sense to buyers at the time. It was low in recoil, quiet compared to larger calibers, and approachable for users who found traditional firearms intimidating. While more powerful cartridges would eventually overshadow it, the 22 short helped shape the future of pocket-sized defensive weapons. Surprisingly, this little cartridge found its way into the American Civil War. Both Union and Confederate troops were known to carry small revolvers chambered in 22 short as backup guns. Compact enough to slip into a pocket or saddlebag, they were used when larger weapons like muskets or big-bore revolvers ran empty or became inaccessible. Smith & Wesson's Model 1 earned a reputation during this era, not for sheer firepower, but for its cutting-edge use of metallic cartridges. Although the battlefield was dominated by heavy hitters like the .36 and .44 calibers, a 22 short revolver could still be a lifesaver in desperate moments. Officers often carried them as private sidearms, and civilians caught near the action relied on them for protection. Its place in history might seem unlikely, but it shows how concealability and availability can sometimes matter more than brute force. Despite its modest ballistic performance, the 22 short carved out a niche during one of the most turbulent times in American history. Shooters might joke that the 22 short sounds more like a cap gun than a real firearm. And funny enough, back in the 1850s and 1860s, its comparatively soft report actually made it stand out. While most guns of the era barked with thunder thanks to black powder loads, the 22 short offered a much milder alternative. That lower noise signature made it especially attractive in confined environments or situations where discretion was key, whether indoors or out on the street. Recoil was also minimal, which helped new shooters gain confidence and practice without dealing with the kick of larger calibers. For many, it was a gentler introduction to the world of firearms. That tamer profile even earned the .22 short a subtle presence in detective fiction and noir stories, where a small quiet gun might appear in the hands of a mysterious figure. Of course, it wasn't silent, but next to the booming cartridges of the time, it was far less attention-grabbing. Even now, plenty of shooters appreciate its soft pop when plinking or hunting on private land, especially if they're trying not to disturb livestock or the neighbors. As firearms technology progressed, so did expectations for personal defense. While the .22 short could certainly be lethal, it didn't always deliver the immediate stopping power people wanted in a crisis. Rounds like the .22 rifle and .25 ACP began to take its place, offering faster velocities, greater energy transfer, and once hollow points became common, better terminal performance. The .22 short could still drop a threat under the right conditions, but it lacked the consistent ability to incapacitate quickly. This growing focus on stopping power shifted the cartridge's identity over time from a self-defense mainstay to a round more suited for target shooting and small game. Still, don't be fooled by its modest size. In ballistic gel testing, standard round nose, .22 short bullets have been known to penetrate as deep as 22 centimeters, while hollow points typically reach around 18 centimeters. That's more than enough to contact vital organs in a human-sized target. For those who assume the .22 short merely grazes the surface, the numbers can be surprising. It may not produce the kind of wound cavity seen in 9mm or .357 Magnum tests, but it proves a critical point. Every cartridge, no matter how small, should be treated with caution and respect. Not everyone needed a cartridge with the recoil of a big game rifle. For many folks, especially those living in rural areas, the priority was keeping pests out of the garden or getting rid of disease-carrying animals around the property. Over time, the .22 short carved out a comfortable role in this space, proving to be an ideal solution for dispatching squirrels, rabbits, and other small nuisances. Its quiet report meant farmers could take a shot without causing a stir, and the low recoil made it a great fit for younger or less experienced shooters. While it doesn't match the power of the .22 long rifle, it's more than capable of doing the job humanely within reasonable distances. Many families still recall stories of protecting crops or gathering small game with a trusty old .22 short rifle. That's part of its enduring appeal. It offers just enough performance to be effective without the noise or kick that might intimidate a novice. Even today, the round continues to serve shooters who value stealth, subtlety, and simplicity in their rural routines. If you've ever gone digging through an old gun cabinet or sorted through the contents of a grandparent's attic, there's a good chance you've come across some .22 short cartridges with a distinctive waxy coating. For decades, manufacturers used hard wax to seal these rounds, creating a barrier against air and moisture that could spoil the primer or degrade the powder inside. That wax also helped cut down on fouling and protected against corrosion. Interestingly, some of those vintage rounds still shoot with impressive reliability. In one comparison test, .22 short cartridges that had been stored for over 60 years performed better than .22 LR rounds made just 15 years ago, which occasionally showed uneven ignition. The likely reason? That old-school wax seal did an excellent job preserving the internals. With proper storage, those simpler methods proved incredibly effective for long-term ammo longevity. It's a reminder that, sometimes, old technology can quietly outperform modern shortcuts when it comes to keeping ammunition stable for the long haul. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, ammo companies weren't shy about making bold claims, and some of the most eye-catching ones came printed right on the boxes of 22 short cartridges. A popular boast was that the little round had a maximum range of up to 1 mile. While hitting anything accurately at that distance was and still is wildly impractical, the statement wasn't completely baseless. Under the right conditions, think optimal elevation and no wind. A 22 short bullet could physically cover that much ground. But when it comes to usable accuracy, that's a different story. The extreme bullet drop and low, retained energy make precision shooting at those distances all but impossible. Still, those early marketing lines sparked the imagination. They hinted at a versatility and reach far beyond backyard tin can duty, even if very few shooters would ever dream of testing the claim. In reality, trying to lob a 22 short a mile would look more like launching a pebble in a high arc than executing a marksman's shot. It's a fun footnote in the history of firearms advertising, one that leaned more on possibility than practicality. Fast forward to today, and modern testing has given us new insights into what the 22 short is really capable of. Despite its size, this humble round has been shown to punch through objects many assume would shrug it off. For example, some shooters have fired 22 shorts at old laptop hard drives, only to watch them punch clean through both the metal casing and the glass platters inside. Others have shot at eyeglass lenses, only to find the results eerily similar to what a 22 LR would do: shattered glass and fractured frames. While it's well understood that any bullet can be deadly under the right circumstances, these kinds of tests reinforce the fact that even a small caliber round like the 22 short isn't to be taken lightly. With the right bullet design and enough velocity, it can penetrate more than you'd expect. What seems like a harmless little pop can still cause serious damage depending on the target. It's a reminder that ballistics don't always line up with visual assumptions, and that sometimes it's the smallest rounds that surprise us most. Anyone who's stacked up water-soaked magazines to test bullet performance knows just how dense and fibrous that kind of medium can feel. It's a popular low-cost way to mimic soft tissue, and it's often used to compare how different rounds perform under similar conditions. Surprisingly, the 22 short has managed to hold its own in more than a few of these DIY experiments. While it won't punch through as many layers as a full-power centerfire cartridge, it frequently penetrates deeper than most people would expect, often coming close to what a 22 LR can do. The soggy paper offers just enough resistance to slow the round and sometimes deform the bullet. In several cases, recovered projectiles showed clear signs of mangling, with the lead twisted or flattened. Despite this, the 22 short consistently pushed through more layers than its reputation would suggest. These informal tests back up what more controlled ballistic gel experiments have shown for years. While the short may not be the most powerful option on the shelf, it certainly isn't useless. It's a reminder that the cartridge is more capable than the old stereotypes make it out to be. There's also something to be said about how well vintage 22 short ammo can hold up over time. Many enthusiasts have found that, when stored properly, decades old 22 shorts still fire more reliably than some modern rimfire offerings. That reliability is often credited to the hard wax coatings used back then, but it could also have something to do with tighter quality control during the cartridge's heyday. In one noteworthy test, 60-year-old 22 shorts were put up against 15-year-old CCI mini-mags. Surprisingly, the older rounds performed flawlessly, while the newer 22 LR occasionally produced underpowered shots. While not a huge disparity, it's enough to show that age alone doesn't doom ammo to failure. Proper storage plays a big role, and it turns out that some of the older production runs were built to last. It's not uncommon for collectors, or those who inherit older stashes of ammunition, to run a few rounds through a gun just to see what happens, and more often than not, they fire just fine. It's a quiet tribute to the craftsmanship behind rimfire design, especially during an era when the .22 short was a top-tier choice for hunting, defense, and everyday use. When you stack up .22 short solid rounds against .22 LR hollow points, you get a fascinating look at how bullet design influences real-world performance. On paper, the .22 LR typically wins in velocity and energy, but once a hollow point expands on impact, that energy gets dispersed. Expansion slows the round down and limits how far it penetrates. The .22 short, by contrast, usually doesn't expand at all. It stays intact, which can sometimes allow it to dig deeper into ballistic gel at close range. This doesn't mean the short is more powerful, it just highlights the trade-offs between expansion and penetration. A .22 LR hollow point might create a larger wound cavity, but the short may outdo it in depth if it holds its shape. That's why raw stats don't always tell the whole story. Real-world effectiveness depends on more than just velocity and energy. Bullet construction and the target medium play a huge role. It catches people off guard when they see a tiny .22 short outperform a more modern round in gel. But it's a great reminder that even modest cartridges can surprise you. Looking at all of this, it's clear the .22 short holds more significance than its small size suggests. It's part of the legacy of rimfire development, with a role that still matters today, whether it's for historical appreciation, low recoil plinking, or discrete pest control. It may not get the spotlight often, but it's never fully faded away. That wraps up this deep dive into the world of the .22 short. What are your thoughts? Do you still shoot it, collect it, or have a favorite firearm chambered in it? Would you like to see us explore more obscure cartridges or the guns that fire them? Drop your comments below, we'd love to hear from you. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.